Madam District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Sheriff Todd Baxter. My name is Chris Chichester. I live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield. On January 31st, I sent you this email with an attached Freedom of Information Law document. Comply with the attached 9-page Freedom of Information Law document. Send me a list of the salaries for every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and Monroe County District Attorney's Office to my home address listed below or this email. That's it. Names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. What do you fail to understand about this Freedom of Information Law document that compels you to disclose public information to me? And that public information is how you expend taxpayer dollars. That public information is how you pay your public employees, Sandra Doorley and Todd Baxter. This is what I fill out at the post office when I'm demanding a list of salaries for every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Monroe County District Attorney's Office. You can see that says Sheriff Todd Baxter right there. And you can see that says Sandra Doorley right there. And that's my name on the back, because then I know it comes back to me. And the reason why I'm showing you that, because I'm going to send this to you relentlessly. There's about 20 of these in each hand. I hope you continue to refuse. When you each run for re-election, I'm going to come to your events. I'm going to say to you in public, why did you fail to disclose public information to me? That is how you pay every public employee at the district attorney's office and sheriff's office with taxpayer dollars. Are you under some delusion that it's private equity financing for all your employees at the district attorney's office and sheriff's office? Are you under the delusion that this is venture capital for your existence at 130 South Plymouth Avenue and 47 South Fitzhugh Street? Tell me. It is a disgusting example of hypocrisy for a district attorney and a sheriff to refuse to comply with the law. And you, Sandra Doorley, and you, Todd Baxter, are refusing to comply with the law, and you've done so for over a year after you've abridged my civil and constitutional rights. I have a passion for jails. That's what you told the Democrat Chronicle, Todd Baxter. What is wrong with you? A sociopath says, I have a passion for jails. Because that means you take pleasure in the suffering of others. Do you believe, Sheriff Todd Baxter, that every single individual at Monroe County Jail is guilty of a crime? Do you believe that? Tell me. Answer that question. Is there such thing as the abridgment of the civil and constitutional rights of an American? Do the cops trample the rights of innocent citizens. Does that happen, Sheriff Todd Baxter? And I know what you think. You think every single person arrested is guilty, and if they're in jail, they're guilty. That's exactly what you think. I have a passion for jails, is the confirmation of that. You, Todd Baxter, have a passion for the pain and suffering of others. Madam District Attorney, is the name Craig Rideout sound familiar? And of course it does. What are you doing going on television talking about Craig Rideout? What is the purpose of you being on television talking about that case? Because it was a vile, despicable crime that happened less than 10 minutes away from me, near the Target in Penfield. Because I ride my bike by his townhouse community, that development. Why are you on television talking about Craig Rideout, Sandra Doorley? Because you have employment as the district attorney of Monroe County. And I'm watching you on television talk about this case because you want to be on television. I mean, there you are, like some pathetic mutation of Suzanne Stone in To Die For, on television talking about Craig Rideout. The case is finished. It's adjudicated. She's in prison. This is a perfect example of how you, Sandra Doorley, cannot make a distinction between right and wrong at your office. You are incapable of making that distinction because you want to be on television talking about that case. And if one of these repulsive shows in this celebration of murder, like Forensic Files, calls, you're going to be on television again talking about Greg Rideout. So, Sheriff Baxter, I went to Monroe Community College to run a 5K. And after the race, what are you public employees doing at this gym? At MCC, there they are standing around doing nothing. Why were they there at Monroe Community College? Do you know what your public employees are doing, Todd Baxter? Here they are at the MCC gym after a 5K, standing around talking to each other. Do you know what your taxpayer subsidized employees are doing on a daily basis, Sheriff Todd Baxter? So, why am I in contact with you? Criminal contempt? What is the name of that sergeant at your Panorama Trail office, Todd Baxter, that has me in handcuffs on my front lawn, standing in the corner of a parking lot I've walked through 4,000 times? What's his name, Todd Baxter? How much do you pay him to have me in handcuffs on my front lawn as an innocent man? It's a parking lot 17.9 million people can walk through. You, Todd Baxter, told this guy who works for Neeraj and Layla Kumar Shah on land they don't own, he can't prove they own. No one owns this land. To get on his tractor and to come by my residence. I'm outside for 30 seconds when I see him from where I'm sitting. Because here he comes. And they're here at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday sometimes. So he comes by here. I see him. I go outside. I say to him, they, meaning these parasites, Layla Kumar and Neeraj Shah, don't own that land. So I'm going to say this to you real slow, Sheriff Baxter, so you understand what I'm talking about here. I walk outside. I stand right here. I say, they don't own that land. And I walk back in my house. I am outside Sheriff Todd Baxter for 30 seconds. And in your psychotic, delusional, fanatical 1984, that is criminal contempt. How is that a crime, Todd Baxter? I have always known how to differentiate criminal behavior from non-criminal behavior. Tell me how that's a crime that gets me delivered to Monroe County Jail where you handcuffed me inside the jail and I couldn't reach the urinal and I'm urinating on myself. Answer that question, Sheriff Baxter. How is that a crime? I go to the now defunct PW Fitness in Penfield. I'm at the back of the gym. Up walks to me Jermaine Benman, the gym psychopath that screams when he uses the weights. I'm about to do the third set of 10. Benman motions like this. He doesn't say anything, this ignoramus. And I do not know if Jermaine Benman has a prior criminal record. He stands over me, he punches down my head, snaps back. I had to make a decision right there and I have to respond to Benman's violence with my own violence. This is a violent assault, Sheriff Baxter. What would you think if this is Kevin Baxter on this bench press? What would you think if this is Zachary Baxter on this bench press? And Jermaine Benman walked up to Kevin Baxter, Zachary Baxter, and went like this to get off the machine. And Kevin Baxter and Zachary Baxter said, I'll be 30 seconds. And then Benman stood over Kevin Baxter or Zachary Baxter and punched down like this. This is called an assault, Sheriff Baxter. So, there's a person at the gym, the now defunct PW Fitness, who watched this. And they called the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. And I go outside after Andrew Reale arrives. Andrew Reale told me to wait in his vehicle. I'm looking out the front window. Andrew Reale doesn't say anything to me. What happened? Not one word from him. Andrew Reale is totally silent as far as the details of what happened at this PW Fitness. Because Andrew Reale has been here. And when he sees me, he wants to put the screws to me. Here's this Chris Chichester again at 26 Sanders Farm Drive. Andrew Reale is going to put the screws to me and concoct harassment second. Todd Baxter. I'm sitting in the back seat of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle looking out the window. And Andrew Reale tells Jermaine Benman what to say to me. And then Andrew Reale walks around to the side of the vehicle. He's standing next to Jermaine Benman, and Jermaine Benman says to me, I want to press charges against you. And that is how I'm charged with harassment second by your public employee, Andrew Reale. I do not know the salary for. What would you think if Kevin Baxter is charged with harassment second sitting in the back seat of a Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle? What would you think if Zachary Baxter is charged with harassment second sitting in the back seat of a Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle? So, now Todd, I have here your official photograph. This is you, Sheriff Baxter. This is your official photograph that adorns the wall at 130 South Plymouth Avenue. I regret to inform you, Sheriff Baxter, that you're bald. You don't got any hair on your head, Todd. This is very unfortunate for you, Sheriff Baxter. Now, I'm going to help you out, Todd, with a few products here. This is Old Spice Timber 2-in-1 for the hair. Oh, excuse me, Todd. I forgot I don't have any hair. I just made that mistake. So Todd is Old Spice Timber here for the hair conditioner. Oh, I'm sorry, Todd. I won't make that mistake again. And Todd, I recommend when you're a fellow fanatics or sexually harassing you female employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office to use this product right here. You can ask Joe Namath about Brute. Okay, and this is the best product available if you're a criminal, like your 170 criminals at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. So, accusatory instrument. As the defendant on the above dated location, approximately 1440 hours that knowingly enter or remain unlawfully in upon the premises 2041 Penfield or Penfield North by walking through the parking lot after being told by certified mail and by police that he's not allowed on the property. I am New York's one and only 4,000 time criminal. Because I've walked through that parking lot 4,000 times, Sheriff Todd Baxter. I adopted my Shih Tzu from Mod Pop Farm Humane Society in 2012 when I lived in Webster with my ex-girlfriend, beautiful, perfect Laura. So we go to Lollipop and we adopt him. Every day for 7 years, I take him back to this land over here and I walk him. And one day, the back window from this repulsive Shaw law firm flies open and this overweight woman is screaming at me. I take my little guy in, I go over there to talk to her. She refuses to talk to me. As I leave, I am unaware of the fact that they called the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and you're on your way to my residence to seize my little guy. One phone call, and you're here to demand my dog. What is wrong with you, Sheriff Todd Baxter? There was a vicious confrontation at my door after I opened it when you were pounding on it to get to me to seize my dog. What is wrong with you, Sheriff Baxter, and that you think that a dog owner, any dog owner, is going to surrender the dog when they just walk in the dog the same way they have for 7 years? What is wrong with you, Sheriff Todd Baxter, in your inability to make a distinction between moral and immoral? On June 29th, I sent you this email. Michael Radler, W. Tadeo, S.O. Brody, Kathleen Miller. I told you the fireworks are going to be at Harris Whalen Park. I told you before the event that people are going to be walking through that parking lot all day, and they were. And then after the event, I came home and I sat here and it was dark. And I'm watching everybody walk through this parking lot after the fireworks. And then I sent you another email. At 8:16 a.m., a man and a woman placed 2 feet on the sanctity of the Holy Roman Todd K. Baxter parking lot. And then I went on and described all the people walking through that parking lot that day. How many of those people were arrested, Sheriff Todd Baxter? Tell me. Accusatory instrument. That the defendant on the above date location, approximately 1440 hours, did knowingly enter or remain lawfully on the premises of 2041 Penfield Road, Penfield, New York, by walking through the parking lot. That's the accusatory instrument. There are people walking through that parking lot every day. Probably about 20 people a day that walk through it on average. And this Nairaj and Layla Kumar shall see these people. They're not calling you about any of them. It's only me. If I was to leave my residence right now and walk through that parking lot and these 2 psychopaths saw me, they would call you and you would descend on me and arrest me. You would not arrest a single person in the state of New York for walking through that parking lot except for me. So where's my 14th Amendment right to equal protection of the laws? Am I allowed to breathe the air in Monroe County as you're the Monroe County Sheriff, Todd Baxter? Is that permitted? So I go to Penfield Town Court. I appear in front of 70-year-old John P. Lomenzo Jr., the pedophile protection racket for Daniel Blouse III. And the prosecutor doesn't talk. Your prosecutor, Sandra Doorley, did not utter one word in Penfield Town Court, not one sound, not one syllable, because I'm not guilty of any crime. So Sandra Doorley, so Kyle Steinbach, so Ann Chase, what is her name? I've asked you repeatedly, what is her name? How is it that in court, the prosecutor doesn't talk and then the defendant is just simply adjudicated guilty by a 70-year-old hate-consumed pedophile protection racket for Daniel DeLouse III? How does that happen? John P. Lomenzo Jr. released Daniel DeLouse III after he was arrested on Annatal Luster off 5 Mile Line because he's trying to gain the favor of children, because he's a child rapist in Penfield. And he was trying to gain their favor by using candy or some other means, because Daniel DeLouse III is a child rapist in Penfield. And Daniel DeLouse III has to appear in Penfield Town Court before John P. Lomenzo Jr. And John P. Lomenzo Jr. doesn't recuse himself from this appearance, this case, because he knows Daniel DeLouse II. This is the guy I have to appear in front of. He's released, and then he is subsequently rearrested because he's doing the same thing. Because what does a child rapist like to do? A child rapist likes to rape children. There is no more evil crime on planet Earth than the rape of a child. And the guy I have to appear in front of is releasing a child rapist in Penfield. I demanded to Nairaj and Leila Kumar Shah that they prove they own the land behind my house and alongside my house. As they're calling bankrupt hacks and extremist Todd Baxter to my house. He's refusing to open his mouth because he can't prove he owns that land. This Nairaj Shah refuses to open his certified mail from me. I'm walking through the parking lot and Elliot Roth tells me, you're going to be arrested. Isn't that right, Elliot? You said this to me, Elliot, with happiness. You said this to me with your misanthropic grin on your face. You're going to be arrested. Now, Elliot, why did you say to me you're going to be arrested, Elliot Roth? Why did you say that to me? Who told you I was going to be arrested, Elliot Roth? What's the answer to that question, Elliot Roth? Who told you, Elliot Roth, I was going to be arrested? Where's your decency, Elliot? Because if the roles were reversed, and I was at your building at 2025 Penfield Road, and you lived here, I would come over here to 26 Sanders Farm Drive, and I would say, these fanatical cops at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office are planning to arrest you, and here's why. That's what I would do. If I worked at your Consumer Insights business, that's exactly what I would do, despite what I thought about you. Because I believe you, Elliot, have civil and constitutional rights, and I wouldn't want to see the cops descend on you. Todd Baxter's afraid to open your mail. June 15th, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. This is 8 months ago. And I've been demanding your public employee payroll in that 8-month period. The sheriff of Monroe County, Todd Baxter, is afraid to open his mail from me. So, Nairaj, Elliot, and Todd, I've never been afraid to open an envelope. What's that say about you? Miranda versus Arizona is the most important Supreme Court decision of the 20th century and was decided in 1966. Because Miranda versus Arizona is the Supreme Court decision that affects every single citizen in the United States of America. I've never heard Miranda. You, Todd Baxter, descended on me. You're 6 fanatics on my front lawn. The handcuffs went on. I went to Monroe County Jail. I didn't hear Miranda. You just put the handcuffs on me and took me to jail. That's what happens in Havana, Cuba. That's what happens in Pyongyang, North Korea. And that's what happens at Todd Baxter's Monroe County Sheriff's Office. And then I go to Penfield Town Court, which is in a library. When I moved to my residence in 2012 with my then girlfriend, beautiful, perfect Laura, she's hired at the Penfield Library. And I would go over to see her occasionally to see how she's doing. Because I would think about her. Just like boyfriends think about their girlfriends. It's nothing special. You know, when I think about her, I want to talk to her and be around her. So I'd go over to see Laura. And I'd walk in the front. I do not know that at the end of that long hallway is Penfield Town Court. I do not know that Penfield Town Court is inside the library structure at the end of the hallway, despite the fact that Laura works at the library. I've been in a courtroom one time. In 1997, I was driving down Washington Avenue to the Capitol where I worked, and I got a speeding ticket for going about 5 miles over. And I thought it was ludicrous. And so a friend of mine gave me the name of an attorney, and I went to Albany City Court, which is in front of the Capitol, and it was dismissed. So, in my entire life, and in the 30 plus years since I was honorably discharged from 2nd Squadron, 17th Cavalry, 101st Airborne Air Assault, the number of times I've been in a courtroom is 1, and the number of times I've been arrested is 0. I've now been arrested twice, and I'm not guilty of any crime. I have not committed a crime. I have not heard Miranda. I was deposited in Monroe County Jail without the prosecutor talking. You, Todd Baxter, and you, Sandra Doorley, are consumed by hatred. Resign.